What's up, guys? What's up, Buck fans? If you're in the States, happy President's Day. I hope you had your day off and you made some use of it. And I mean, I hope you, if you had to get a car, make sure you knock them prices down. But for everybody else in the world, happy Monday. You already know what it is. This is Bucs Report. AJ turned up in the house. We have Slick over here to my left. And yeah, it's a lot of things that's been happening in the Buccaneers community so far. So, but before we even get in that, how you doing, Slick?
I'm pretty good. And everybody, make sure you're watching the aftermath. Hit that like button, strip that subscribe button, and sack that notification button. And you can intercept me and AJ in the comments. This is a big day for comments because we know everyone wants to get their feelings out there because we've just hired a new offensive coordinator, and now everyone's trying to marry a quarterback to that offensive coordinator. Dude, how have you been taking it? So you heard the news that we signed, and I'm going to do my best and say his name's Dave Canals, but other people can please tell me if we're saying his name wrong because I'm just reading what I see.
Yeah, I'm reading it too. At first did the research on him. You know, he was a part of the Seahawks coaching staff, quarterbacks coach. We see how Geno Smith progressed this season, so that's a good sign. I put my trust and faith into Light. I think he knows what he's doing. So hopefully he brought this guy in, and Canales will be innovative. He will have imagination. He will make the use of what this team needs, and he just brings a fire. That's what this Buccaneers team needs. This offense. The offense needs that spark to go, guys. Like Slick has always said, let's have fun. We need to have fun when we're doing this. I think that we go in that direction. Hopefully he comes out with plays that that defenses don't see, and he utilizes his players. So I'm all on board for this. I'm on board for it. What I am not on board for, and I want to get this out the way right quick, for you new Bucs fans, if you were a Bucs fan because Brady came here, whatever, appreciate you. Or if you're other Bucs fans and you are panicking, calm your ass down. I'm getting this out here. I'm gonna make it short, quick, and simple. Mike Evans is not going anywhere. Mike Evans is a legend. Mike Evans is staying in Tampa. First of all, not just morally, it doesn't make sense, but business, it doesn't make sense. He would only save $2 million. So that's for you business people out there. That's it. Oh, he's 30. Okay. You acting like 30 is super old. We're acting like that Evans doesn't produce. We acting like that Evans hasn't gone through 6-7 quarterbacks already and didn't produce. Stop with the bullshit, Bucs fans. He's not going anywhere. You don't give away legends like that. What happens when we gave away Warren Sapp, John Lynch? We did Derek Brooks dirty. The team suffered. Do you want to go through this again? Stop it. He's staying. Other analogies. Don't give me the Jerry Rice shit. Somebody on Twitter told me that. Jerry Rice was 38. Then they also replaced him with Terrell Owens, the guy who's second behind him. You don't strike gold like that. We get rid of Evans. There's nobody else in this draft that's coming out that's going to be this guy. Buck fans, calm down. The sky isn't falling because Brady is gone. We thank Brady for his services. He's gone. We're going to get back to business. But this Bucs team on paper is only a few pieces away from being competitive. Don't panic. Please. The NFC South is still some shit. Don't panic. We are fine. Slick.
Let me break this down to people because you've done a great job of it already. You have to understand, and if you're not a Bucs fan, we've got a lot of feelings for Mike Evans. Mike Evans is probably the single greatest offensive player this Buccaneers team's ever have. And people talking like I don't like the whole used up piece of gum attitude that people have. People talk of honor, integrity, loyalty, and then you treat a player like that. And you wonder why players want to get every single little nickel and dime out of every single team. And they'll go, oh, they're not taking a team-friendly deal. Well, that's what happens when you take team. Mike Evans' deal is team-friendly. Look it up. If you take away the quarterback, sorry, you take away the wide receivers that are not on rookie deals, that get 1,000 yards at least 3 years in a row, look at their salaries and compare it to Mike's. Not on a rookie deal. Mike Evans' salary is cheap as chips, as we say in England. I don't know if that phrase carries through over in America, but he is cheap as it happens. He's not cheap, but he's cheap for what he does. Why would you trade him? Like the whole thing with draft, like I'm the proven guy. Give me a player over a draft pick because you still have to hit on that draft pick. There are people who are first round draft picks that do jack shit. And there are people who are fourth round wide receivers like a Chase Claypool who do a lot more. You have to hit on your picks. It's all well and good trading away all your team players for loads of picks. Look at the Raiders when they were in Oakland. They got rid of Khalil Mack, got themselves 2 draft picks. Woo-wee. We're all excited. What do they do to those draft? What do those draft picks become? Nothing. If you don't hit on those draft picks, you've just given away a player. That's all you've done. Your return of investment is 0. Or you could still have Mike Evans getting you 1,000 yards and 6 plus touchdowns. That's what you really want. Because you get rid of Mike Evans, you now have to find a viable number 1. Chris Godwin has never been the number 1 wide receiver. He's never had to be. And you're asking him. We've seen this before with other players where they go, oh, yeah, our number 2 guy is ready to take the role. But he's not. Juju Smith-Schuster had 1 year with Antonio Brown. Everyone's like, yeah, he's ready to be number 1. He's not a number 1. He's an okay number 2, an average number 2, which is kind of where Chris Godwin is, except that he has no media bullshit and he has no off-field problems. You've got a straight-up baller there that's only focused on the prize. But that's where we are, guys. That's where we are with Mike Evans. So you might live in the Bill Belichick if you are the Patriot Buccaneer fans that come over, and we thank you for coming over. I don't expect you to stay long, to be honest. I think you'll have 1 losing season and you'll be fucking gone. But that's neither nor there. You're looking at this like it's a Bill Belichick run team. The moment a player runs up, the one thing about Bill Belichick is he knew when players were running out. You didn't know when they were fucking running out because I've seen Patriots fans freaking out when they used to give away their players for nothing. And then as soon as they go, it's almost like they turn around and go, oh my God, they just got rid of X, Y, and Z. Stefan Gilmore. They got rid of him. And to be fair, he hasn't had a bad. He's one of the few that's gone away. But let's say for the sake of Malcolm Butlers and people like that, they go away. Or LeGarrette Blount. He had like an okay year with Philadelphia. Let's face it, he wasn't a great player for him. He won a Super Bowl, but if you add his contribution to that season, meh. It was meh. My point being is he knew when players were, and when people said, "Oh, we get rid of LeGarrette Blount," there were Patriots fans going, "Why? He's really good, especially when the contract's cheap." And then when he turns out to turn back into it, he goes from being a stud to back into being a pumpkin. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, I never doubted it. Never doubted it. Because guess what? You all thought that Tom Brady was going to be trash. A lot of people thought Tom Brady was going to be trash. The moment he left out, there were the cliffs. Loads of people were reporting it, all because the guy threw one pick 6 to end his Patriots career. That was it. That's all he did wrong. He had a bad game against the Titans, and everyone was like, that's it. He's done. He's out. Not the fact that he won 12 fucking games. He was done. Media writ him off. Done. Out. Gone. Okay. Let's be realistic. And it's the same thing. Mike Evans isn't done yet. You need to see some realistic regression.
That's right.
Quarterback play last year was not good enough either. It wasn't.
Wasn't good. Quarterback, also offensive play calling wasn't good, as we can see. You have to put everything, and again, this man, Evans, makes things happen regardless who's throwing him the ball. Now, can you imagine with this new OC? What if this OC says, okay, we need to revolve this game around Evans again? We need to get him more involved so that when he is balling, the other players, your Godwins, your Scotty Millers, Russell
Mm-hmm.
Gages can contribute, and let's get this guy more numbers. It will go up.
Yeah.
Buck fans, stop panicking. The simple fact that Brady is gone is not, it doesn't end the entire situation of this Bucks team. The Bucks need, they don't need, it's not like this team is just falling apart. They just need a handful of picks to go the right way, and they'll be fine. Now is the pressure on? Yes, the first 3 picks must be solid. But this team is not done yet. You still have a healthy offensive line coming back. You have a receiving core. You have a running back in Rashad White coming up. You have a Cade Otton tight end coming up. The defense will be fine because Bowles is still good. Guys, we just got to stop. Yes, we're not. Are we going to be Super Bowl favorite picks next season? Probably not. But that's okay. We're building. This team, this season coming up is basically where the Bucks are. Where do we need to be for next year? What are we going to do? We're going to be analyzing and assessing for the next season. This is a test run season. For all you new Buck fans, that's how football goes when you've won the championship. Because a lot of people leave, injuries happen, trades come in. This is football. But what you don't do is give away your primary guys. Evans is a primary man of Tampa. He's the best offensive weapon, like Slick said, that the Bucks have ever seen. You don't throw away players like that. You don't, because what are you telling the fans? Okay, guys, we're basically gonna give up someone historical for this team for a guess, a fucking guess.
Mm-hmm.
A guess. You're fucking guessing. So somebody else said with the receipt, with the Justin. Again, for all you people out there, you got to give these receivers and every player at least 10 years, as Slick has said. Stop crowning them the best just because of the popularity. A lot of people don't know Mike Evans because he's not a loud guy. He leads by example on the field. Justin Jefferson's of the world, Jamar Chase's, they are good right now. However, you don't know where they're going to be in the next couple of years. Let's see them have the longevity of a Mike Evans. You don't know that. You don't know what's going to happen.
Like we said earlier as well, Mike Evans hasn't had one close to season-ending injury yet. Like he's had soft tissue injuries that kept him out for the last 4 games, but he's never had to have any major surgeries. As far as I'm aware, he's never had surgery. Now he might have had little tighten up surgeries and things like that, and maybe some keyhole stuff that we're unaware of because it hasn't made news. But as far as I know, he's never had like ACL surgery, knee constructions, or anything like fingers being put back together. Like Chris Godwin has. Chris Godwin's had multiple broken fingers, and he's had an ACL repair.
Yeah.
On paper, he's not good. He's damaged goods. Obviously, he came back into his own, and we got him back into 1,000 yards, and here we are. We're going again. I just wanted to reiterate on a point of this new coach that we got is experience-wise. So he's been with the Seattle Seahawks since 2010, started off as a wide receivers coach, and then progressed into the quarterbacks, and then I think he was and then pretty much stayed there. Yes. So he's got a Super Bowl ring as a wide receivers coach. He has, I suppose, just a single NFC championship as a wide receivers coach. He's worked closely with Russell Wilson. Now, no one can argue that Russell Wilson was a good quarterback in Seattle.
Yes, he was.
And they had a terrible line. Remember the amount of times that they would go into the draft and they draft something completely different to an offensive lineman, and you think, poor Russ.
Yes. And after Marshawn Lynch left, they went downhill.
Mm-hmm.
After the Legion of Boom, they went downhill. And
what would you say this cat's playoff stats are? And I'm talking how many wins and losses do you think he's got in the playoffs? As a coach?
I think as a coach probably has maybe 8 or 9 wins and 3 losses.
Okay, it's a little bit more and less, a bit more on each side. So 10 wins, including the Super Bowl, and 7 losses. He's been to the playoffs 10 times in his career, which means he's only missed 3 times in the playoffs.
I'll take that. I'll take those.
So this guy has experience, and he's been around let's face it, like Pete Carroll is a great coach.
Yes, he is.
He turned that franchise around. He was a great college coach, and he's now fused himself into being one of the better. Like, what a mentor to have! Like that's like a Bruce Arians level head coach to be your mentor. And yeah, you're going to turn around and be, well, look at Bowles, look at this person, look at that person. You've got to give people their chance.
Give him time.
Got to give people the chance. Did anyone really? I'll be honest. I didn't think Coach McDaniel in Miami was going to be that good.
Yeah,
I really didn't. I didn't think. I also didn't. I thought the Vikings would be decent. Didn't think they would be that good. I know they shit the bed in the playoffs, but that's what happens when you have a quarterback that shits the bed.
Yes.
He'll die when he dies, I guess.
Yes. It's just, yeah, I agree. It's just about this. What I like about Canals is he's been in an organization where they don't give up on their quarterbacks and they believe in their team. We need someone to believe in our offense, and that's what he can bring, hopefully, with Kyle Trask. If we give the keys to him, he can develop them. Look at what they did with Geno Smith this season. If Geno Smith can just be, if Trask can be a Geno Smith type level quarterback this season, shit, the Bucs that's 11 wins right there. 11 wins.
So we have our first guest to come in.
Yes.
We got JT Olsen for the Creamsicle Chronicles. Man, haven't seen him in a while. Welcome to the show, buddy. How's you doing?
Doing good. How y'all doing?
He's ghosting in that background.
Yes, we're just hanging in there, man.
See, all this is really just to hide the mess I got behind me.
No worries, man. We're just trying to calm some Buck fans down, making sure they don't do a fire sale to this organization. Well, talking about this new OC guy coming in. I mean, what are your feelings right now on the Bucs with the Mike Evans talk and our new OC?
Well, I'll start with the Mike Evans thing. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, you save no real cap money there. He's a future Hall of Famer who's still in his prime. I mean, you don't just give those guys away, especially when it doesn't really benefit you to do so. Yeah. So I think any speculation, that's just, off-season talking points, Mike Evans will be traded. Does Aaron Rodgers hate his front office? Who cares? It's nothing. There's nothing really there. There's no story.
Yeah, we gotta tell them. Like, in your opinion, if this happened, like somehow, what if you were the Glazers and somebody wanted Evans? What are you telling them to give up? What would they have to give up?
It would probably be minimum a high second round pick. Similar to what Nuke Hopkins went for. I think Evans is older than what Nuke was when he was traded. He's on a 1-year deal on his contract, so there's no long-term stability. So that hurts his value a little bit as he goes into his 30s. But honestly, I don't even think it's on the table.
Right. It would take a first round for me. I need a first and a second because, as you said, Hall of Famer, and look at his resume. Now, I know but he's only 30. It'd be different if he was 33, 34, but just 30, like you said, he's still in his prime years. And his resume shows he's won with 7 different quarterbacks throwing him the ball. He's productive. Oh, we're talking the first round or second. Yeah.
I think the only reason is that you've got to, in theory, you've got to replace him. You ain't replacing him with a second round pick unless you're very, very smart.
Exactly.
No, the thought process there would be total rebuild, which I don't think the Bucs are at that point. I think they're still in a position to compete for the South next year.
Thank you, JT. See, this is what we were. Me and Slick were just telling people. I just told the fans, you act like the NFC South. This isn't the 2008, 2009 NFC South or 2000. The NFC South is in ruins. We are literally in the Last of Us phases right now of the.
Whoever gets the best quarterback's got the best opportunity. That's pretty much what it's going to come down to.
Exactly.
And even then, it's not guaranteed. It's all the other pieces.
No, and JT, what is your assessment on this OC we got in Canals?
Call me cautiously optimistic. He wasn't a guy who was on my radar initially. Obviously guys like Frank Reich were at the top of the list. Todd Monken was a big name. I didn't really even know Canals existed until they talked about him for an interview. But then, looking at his resume, what he'd done in Seattle, he'd been there for 13, 14 years. That's a ton of time around a really great leader in Pete Carroll. I mean, people criticize, he runs the ball too much. He's a little bit old school football. Pete Carroll has won everywhere he's been at the highest level. He's won Super Bowls. He's taken USC to national championships. He's a winner, and he's a leader more than anything. He is a teacher. He is someone who gets the most out of his players, and that energy that he brings. I mean, he's like 70 years old, but he's running around like he's 30, more than I would. So I think that kind of exposure to leadership, that rubs off on a guy like Canals, especially, everything I see, he brings that same energy. He's very upbeat, very communicative. He's a very vibrant personality, which is a huge contrast from Leftwich, who was, very stoic, very, don't question what I'm doing. That's what teaching is. People ask you questions, you explain it to them. You make them understand it. And I think we're going to get a lot more of that in Canales than we did in Leftwich. And I think the way he's developed players along the way, like Golden Tate is a guy he developed. DK Metcalf, he was the receiver coach when they drafted him.
Yep.
Geno Smith last year, who was a career journeyman. He was basically a bad version of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Had a breakout year under Canales' leadership. All that is teaching. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that this year in Tampa.
I agree. In your opinion, with Kyle Trask, do you feel comfortable if they give the starting position, or if Trask earned it and Canals is there? How do you feel about Canals, transforming him into a starting quarterback?
If he earns it, and I don't think he will, I think whatever two quarterbacks they bring in to compete with him will beat Trask out. Whether that's Drew Lock, Taylor Heineke, whoever. I think any of those guys will beat out Trask. But if Trask wins that job and he earns that title as starting quarterback, then you got to roll with it. I mean, he's not as talented as Geno, but we knew Geno was bad. He'd had a terrible career, and he thrived last year. So, as much as I don't believe in Trask, he's an unproven commodity. There's no reason to think he couldn't be successful under the same leadership.
I agree. I think for me, I would just see what we have. I want him to battle out. Slick and I have talked about this as well. We want to see them bring in a veteran quarterback so they can dish it out and duke it out and see who wins. I'm going to reserve my judgment on Trask because we haven't seen him, and another reason is due to the fact that we had Byron calling the shot. So, and we can see what he did with this team. I just that's my only concern. I do want to see that. Like, is there any other things that you would like to see from this new offense? Like, if you had a chance to talk to Canales, what would you ask him to do with this offensive pieces that we have?
So I would ask him to do a lot of the things I already think he's going to do, having gone back and watched some of his Seattle games when he was the pass game coordinator.
Yes.
He did a lot more motion than what the Bucs did. He did a lot more play action and rollouts with Russell Wilson than what the Bucs ever did with Tom Brady. I mean, they're two totally different types of quarterbacks, but, Taylor Heineke can move. Drew Lock can move. I don't think Kyle Trask can move, but I think whatever he can do, they'll utilize his feet as much as they can.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just making this offense more diverse, more versatile, spreading things out a little bit more, and getting back to throwing the ball downfield. His second year as play action or passing game coordinator in Seattle, the Seahawks led the league in yards per attempt, air yards per attempt. They threw the ball downfield more than anyone, more than the Bucs. And Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Bruce Arians like to throw the ball downfield.
Yes.
Canales did it more than him. So I think all the things I want to see, he has a track record of doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what is your draft expectations? Because I don't understand this. Everybody's talking about we want to get a running back in the first round. I'm like, no. Somebody's talking about, I forgot that running back that people are thinking about, but to compliment him with Rashad White. But what do we need in the first 3 rounds? Give me your analysis on that.
It's hard to say at this point before cuts happen, before free agency happens. The Bucs are going to have a lot of needs going into this year. As much as I like the core and the strengths they're bringing back, if they cut Donovan Smith, left tackle is going to be at the top of the list. They're going to need a corner, especially if they don't bring Dean back. They only have Carlton Davis on contract, and then our rookie from last year, CJ McCollum. No, Zion McCollum. CJ McCollum plays basketball.
Okay.
Safety. We only have Antoine Winfield on contract. So there are a lot of needs. So I think secondary is going to be targeted early. Left tackle, I think, is my ideal position in the first round.
Yes.
And defensive tackle, I think, is
Yeah,
my
but
ideal position.
we need both DNs.
Yeah.
Both
So
DNs.
I really think I would go a guy like Broderick Jones if he's available in the first, get that replacement for Donovan Smith. And then defensive tackle second round, a guy like Kalijah Clancy out of Pittsburgh, fast, athletic, pass rusher. Or a guy like Keanu Benton out of Wisconsin. He's a little bit bigger, stouter against the run. And then get a guy in the secondary in the third round. A guy like, what's his name? Sidney Brown from Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Big, fast, physical safety. We know Todd Bowles is an expert when it comes to defensive backs. He's brilliant. He's going to maximize a great athlete like that.
Yes.
And get the most out of him.
Okay. Nice. I like the assessment. I think left tackle is necessary thus far. No matter who's the quarterback, we need that. I don't understand where we get this running back situation from. You can find a running back in the 5th or 6th round. All you need from a running back is a running back that can be hungry and that's willing to take blocks. That's what this Bucs team needs. Now, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I've talked about this with Slick before, but what would you do if the Bears made a deal and said, "Hey, we'll give you Justin Fields for that first round, that 19th pick"? Are you pulling the trigger on that? Justin Fields in Tampa. That sounds pretty nice, don't it?
Oh, I'm in on that. I try and finagle like a 4th round pick back because I already burned 2 years of his rookie contract.
Yes,
but I'm all the way in on Justin Fields in Tampa.
I'm just saying, if Justin Fields is in Tampa, I think, and if Canals does it right, can you imagine bootlegs, rollouts? You could run a spread. Mike Evans for folks out there, he would thrive because he can extend plays. It would almost be like having a more calm but faster Jameis Winston back in the lineup that will extend plays. Like I already know, a bootleg and a rollout or a play action it's over. So then if that were to happen, then how would you assess? So the 19th first round pick is gone. Do we get a left tackle in the 2nd round?
Yeah, you still want to protect him. So I'd go for a guy like Duncan Smith out of Maryland or Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse. You got to replace Donovan Smith. One, for financial reasons, $35 million over the cap, $55 million over the cap. You got to make cuts. And then 2, you need a long-term answer there. Even if they keep Smith this year, I don't think he's going to be here past this year.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to bring in that replacement, probably this year, if not next.
Okay. On defense, what's the most important piece that we need that we have to strike? It has to make an immediate impact this next season coming up.
It just depends on who they bring back. If they bring back a corner, if they bring back Jamel Dean or Sean Murphy-Bunting, I feel fairly comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
If they bring back Levante David, you feel good about your linebacker situation still.
Mm-hmm.
You need a defensive tackle. You need a pass rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Hakeem Hicks is not coming back. He was not, especially good. He really underwhelmed this year.
Mm-hmm.
You need an answer there next to Vita Vea. You can't just have one guy and maybe Logan Hall next to him. You got to bring in a legitimate playmaker to complement that.
Will Golston as well. So
yes,
yeah, and he's a free agent this year, isn't he?
Yes, yeah. But I think you can get Will Golston back for cheap. But yeah. I am with you on this. I think the most important thing is the defensive tackle, because what we want is to complement. We want to keep Vita Vea fresh in when he's on that field. We want him to have as much energy and stop getting doubled. And we wanted a guy that's going to take advantage when Vita is getting doubled. I agree. The secondary, I'm not too worried about because Bowles has done a fantastic job with that. Now, yes, I think you can find. I think this year's draft is loaded with decent secondary corners. I do want a safety, but I want the battle to be one in the trenches. Honestly, I will wait. I would want to get a tackle and then a pass rusher because we need someone to help complement Shaq Barrett, because I don't see him coming back in full form until week 10. to be that guy. JTS, he still has a lot of work. I think right now the Bucks have got to be realistic. We need our depth players to take us far this next season to be competitive. We don't I don't know if we have the cap space to really get all these stud guys yet. I don't what do y'all think about that?
You've got to keep into account that from a pass rush point of view, we do lose Anthony Nelson. We also lose Carl Nassib. So they're two big guys on the rotation automatically. And I think Anthony Nelson had himself a great campaign last year. Will probably net himself a decent deal. You probably could bring Carl Nassib back. I just wanted to quickly jump back into the defensive back situation. The safeties that we signed before that were all under $2 million a year. I mean, obviously, Edwards was still in his rookie deal, but he's been a career backup his entire career. So I could easily see the Buccaneers not having to worry about those positions as much, because I think they could probably bring back two of those guys for less than $4 million anyway. And as they get older, the price goes down anyway. So they could do that as just a workaround. It's that corner position, I think, is the one that they really need to get nailed down. That might be the draft pick. Yeah, I think that might be the draft pick. Talk about JTS. I did see progression from him towards the last bit of the season, but it hasn't been as smooth as I like. And like we've spoken before, he's the seventh edge defender taken in his draft. He's the fifth best. So as stats go, he ain't too bad. It's just you get tagged with like expecting, well, you're replacing the man. You know, we had good passes. Yeah, JPP. That's some big shoes to fill, and attitude alone, if anything, as well as play. So I do think they should go down that route. But I think for me, I want to find versatile interior D linemen. I want ones that can play that 3 technique. I want ones that can play the 5 technique. I want ones that could, if needed be, they can go and play a shaded nose. That way you have a bit more versatility on your line. As you said, JT, that I don't see Hicks coming back. His contract wasn't particularly big when I looked at it, but you can get someone like Golston back. It's going to be interesting to see if Hall can make that jump as a rotational player to start. You do that, then you don't have to worry so much of having to bring in someone in. You can start looking in the 4th round, because those first 3 picks have to be starters, or at least a rotational starter. Like, for example, you could probably go and get yourself a D lineman or a edge rusher with your 3rd pick, or a safety, because they're more of a rotational piece. They're not going to be in 90% of the snaps. That's what I'm kind of saying. You keep your D line fresh as possible. To be fair, your linebackers, they stay in all game pretty much unless there's an injury or you're repping someone in on nickel or what have you. But your D line, they rotate. Even Vita Vea doesn't get that many a ridiculous amount of snaps because it's just hard wearing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing that concerns me about Logan Hall, the guy's only like 260 pounds. You know, he can't be a guy who plays 3 tech consistently. You know, unless he's really beefed up in the last couple of months. I mean, they drafted him to be a Will Golston replacement, so they need that big body between the tackles, defensive tackle next to Villa. Now, the good thing about that is this is a really deep free agent class for defensive tackles, and we've seen them sign late in free agency. Like, I think, was it Jonathan Hankins signed like in training camp for a dirt cheap deal, and it's a quality rotation player. So I think they'll be able to get good depth pieces, but I think they're going to have to draft that game changer.
Yes, I'm with you on that. Logan Hall has a lot of maturing and growing up, not personally, but you developing. We didn't see enough. It was literally hot and cold for him, and he started out decent, and then he just fizzled out of existence. Yes, we need a big body. We need a 310-pound guy that can help. But this one, I want a pass rushing defensive tackle. Because Vita Vea, He's that guy that can do both, but we need a guy that can help, get that pressure. So if we get an outside linebacker that can rush, JTS can take advantage. I want the battle one in the trenches. I think it will start there. If we can get Levante back, that would be fine. The linebacking core will be set again for another season. But yes, the Bucs definitely need to be get some nastiness on that defensive side of the ball and make things interesting. Like, what is your expectations in free agency? Like, how many big name splash plays do you think? Do you think we're gonna go for depth players in free agency, or we're gonna take a risk on one big star that might be available?
I don't think the Bucs can afford to. I just think they're going to be pinching so many pennies to kind of balance their books this year.
Yes.
It's going to be a lot of kind of grinded out guys. Like a guy on my radar is Deshaun Elliott. He was a strong safety for the Lions last year. He's kind of been a journeyman, played for Baltimore, played for Detroit.
Yes.
He's kind of looking for that opportunity to start somewhere. He's a very limited player, but he's good at what he does, kind of like Jordan Whitehead. If you put him in the box, he's going to hit people. He's going to defend the run. He's going to bring leadership and toughness and grit, and those are things that the Bucs need right now. And they're not expensive. So it's going to be a lot of guys like that. Guys like Nacho, who's a rotational defensive tackle.
Mhm.
It's going to be a lot of low-key guys, maybe a couple of take a chance on him guy like a Shaq Barrett was. Maybe like a guy like Taven Bryan, who went to Florida, got drafted by Jacksonville, has been a huge bust so far. But we know he has athletic tools, so maybe the Bucs feel like they can get something out of him. It's going to be a lot of taking a flyer on this guy, taking this journeyman to fill this role. And I think if they can get either Levante David or Jamel Dean back, that's their big free agent. Just bringing back their own guy.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Jamal Dean, for me, is probably Jamal Dean and Levante David are probably the two biggest jewels of our free agency. We need to get those sorted more than anything. I could live with Sean Murphy Bunting, but the problem is I don't think you can. I think you can go and draft somebody in the second round that could probably do what he does.
Agreed. He's expendable.
I can't let that pass. I am a Sean Murphy Bunting fan, a fellow proud Chippewa.
I like Sean. I like SMB. He has improved, but with him, he's another hot and cold guy. When he is on, he is on. But when he gets beat, he gets beat. It's one of those things with Dean, he's consistent, and Dean has the recovery speed. If you can play him in zone, he can recover, but he also can be pretty good in man. I like Sean Murphy more in man, not zone. He gets a little lost, but Levante, I just want Levante back for leadership reasons. He will bring, I think Devin White needs one more year under him. Devin White has got to find a way to get better in coverage because when Levante's not going to be there to bail him out anymore. Devin White, if you had, I want to ask this because for me, my letter grade for him was a B minus. What are you like? Are there certain players that you expect to come back that you want to take that next level? Give me a few of the players that you would like to see that come back, definitely take that next level.
I'll let you go, JT.
Well, I guess the guy who I want to bring back is the guy we were just talking about, Sean Murphy Bunting.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has another level above what we've seen because he's played in the nickel for most of his time in Tampa. And that was never his position in college. I mean, they just kind of put him there because they had, three good corners and they just kind of found a way to make it work. I think moving Bunting to the outside is going to improve his consistency. He's got the best ball skills of any of those guys. We saw that in the playoffs. In that Super Bowl run, he had 3 interceptions in 4 games.
Good hands.
He's never had a consistent role that suits him. He's kind of been a take one for the team, make it work, and I think that's part of his inconsistency. But I think with a guy like Bunting, you can save some money by letting Dean walk. And, you've already got a guy who's familiar with your team, familiar with your defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's more there to unlock. So if they bring him back, I think he's that guy who can take that jump.
Okay. Is there another guy on defense that you want to see take that jump besides SMB?
Gosh, a bunch of them. Logan Hall's on that list. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. I think he played really well towards the back end of the year. Didn't carry over to the playoffs, which is a huge disappointment. But obviously with his athletic ability, he's got such a high ceiling. I'd love to see him convert some of his pressures into sacks. Kind of develop that Dwight Freeney spin move counter, because he can pressure the outside. He's just got to find a counter move to get in and get that quarterback down.
Yeah, we've discussed that before. I think sometimes he needs to bull rush the lineman inwards instead of trying to always run around them, because that's what's happening. He'll get that pressure, or when he tries to get around, by the time he gets to the quarterback has thrown the ball already or tossed it to somebody. Yeah, I want to see Devin take that, because I want to see Devin the playoff 2020 Devin. We haven't seen that yet. We've seen flashes, but we want consistency, because he's gonna have to be that guy when Levante is gone. Especially on that linebacking side. We need that, because then Shaq will be getting up there in age. Devin, he's gonna have to find a way. And if it's not him, and I know he's gonna take his step already, but I want Antoine Winfield. I want him to stay healthy first. But if Antoine Winfield stays healthy, I think he'll be considered an elite safety, if not already, because the guy we already know, Antoine. That's another one we're gonna have to worry about re-signing when that day comes. But I want those guys to take that to the next level, because
and guys, look at it from this way. By Tom Brady retiring now, the cap hit is nowhere near as worse next year. So people like Devin White, and they're going to be the two big free agents. There might be someone else as well. Names will escape me because I'm looking way too far into the future. That we can actually go out and go, right, we got money. We got space to go and get these guys. And for me, I think JTS is probably the biggest one, because you don't want to have to burn through draft picks to try and replace. Oh, well, he's not good enough, so I need to put another person in there. That person, when you've already got a guy there that's first round pick level, high end 2, if you want to call it that. There's an expectation now that he needs to become the starter, and not just be the starter by name, but play like a starter. And like you said, JT, like sometimes I just wish he'd put a foot in the ground when you have that elite speed. If he can learn to control his body to a point where he can step on a dime, he's going to make offensive tackles look stupid, because he's showing, when you have that speed, everyone's going to, oh, he's a speed guy. I've got to be aware of this guy getting around me. You put that speed in, oh, okay, I'm not getting there. Then you cut it back in, or like you said, a spin move, or just something a little bit different, like your 1-2 punch. He's going to have his moments where he's going to eat. And I think that's the part of his development that we need to see. And obviously they've got coaching for it, but he's got to buy into it, and he's got to be able to do it. I'm surprised he hasn't picked it up yet, because he's been around some elite guys. He was around JPP. He's been around Shaq Barrett, so he should. I mean, and we're talking like, you're around those guys. They're going to teach you how to use their. They're going to teach you how to use their moves and what have you. And
yeah,
I always feel like when we coach block shedding, which is a very similar technique anyway.
Yeah,
especially at a lower level. I always say to guys, is like, go for every single technique, and then find 2 that you really, really like, and the ball rush, and just work on those. There's no point in trying to develop all of them, because you won't have time. We're talking unprofessional here. But you have then you've got like a 1-2 punch that you can work with. Otherwise, you're going to just do the same thing, and they'll eventually work you out.
Yes, I think he gets in his own way. He sometimes thinks, oh, I can do this. Or sometimes you can read the player the wrong way. Well, if I continue to try to do this, he's eventually going to break, when that's not the case. Not the case, JTS. That's not going to work, damn it. He's just going to continue to put you on your ass, or he's just going to toro you around. Switch it up. I do agree. I think he has the potential. As you said, 5th best in his class. So it's not the best nor the worst. He's
not a bust. He's not if you want to call everyone else in that, if you want to call everyone else below him a bust, but no one above, like I said, and no one underneath him is playing better than him. So where he was drafted, he's the 5th take. He was the 7th taken. He's the 5th best, and it's not people underneath him that's playing better than him. So right now, he's okay.
Exactly. Right now, he has upside. Right now, we can see the progression. We can see the progress. He just got to put it all in together. You know what he kind of reminds me of is the Gerald McCoy. Remember, we all wanted Gerald always had an upside. We just wanted to see him take that elite level, and eventually Gerald did. It's just that he couldn't sustain it. I think JTS is on that same kind of path. I think he'll get there. But yes, overall, we want JTS to get there. Now, JT, I want to ask you this: on since we've been talking about defense so much, on offense next season, who do you want to see uh, take it to the next level?
It's hard to say because I think so much talent was buried by the incompetence of Byron Leftwich.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I want to say Kate Otten because I think he's going to be the unquestioned starter next year.
Ooh,
I think
yes.
Cam's going to be gone in the offseason. Kyle Rudolph will be gone.
Yes.
And then it's really just Kate Otten. You know, that's all that's left in the tight end room, really.
I think he's had a few moments.
Yes.
You know, I love
They
Coach.
used him in such a smart way sometimes. He caught balls, and I was like, shit, I forgot he existed. But it was done really cute. Like, it was like, everyone was like, he obviously on paper, he's like run blocker, run blocker, run blocker, run blocker. And that's what you want. It reminds me of like a Luke Stocker kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Just that I think he might actually have better hands than Luke Stocker. And that's what you want. You want a guy who's just going to fly under the radar. Like Kate Otten, you can see there's more to him than what they've shown with him. Like that guy could be a Swiss Army knife. I honestly believe he has mini Gronk potential. I'm not saying he's going to be a Gronk, but he gives me that vibe. But I still wouldn't sleep on Kokeeft yet. I think he's had some moments.
I think Kokeeft is a great third fullback special teams guy, or third tight end special teams guy and fullback. You know, he's a little bit everything.
But I would not mind seeing him at fullback. I think you do that, and then you can really play with your run scheme, especially if you have Cade Otton who can block as well as your tight end. You can do that little bit of motion, and you've got two lead blockers, and you could just play and have so much fun with this offense with what you've got. We just use them in the wrong way, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, and it takes tight ends a little longer than other positions. You know, they're a slow burn in terms of development. It takes them a year or two to really kind of hit their stride in the NFL. So I think, you know, he's got his feet under him a little bit. You know, he's learned the routes. He's learned the blocking. You know, he's going to learn new under Canales. So it's going to be a little bit of a slow adjustment, but I think he's got the potential to be a really quality tight end in this league.
I'm definitely with you on that. I believe in Cade Otton. We have all talked about Cade Otton. I just want to see what I think he's very swift and shifty. I would like to use him more. I want to see him running seams. I want to see that. I want to see him in deep slants, deep crossings, because he has the body type where if you really wanted to, you could throw him out there as a slot. Hey, that's how they use Kelsey anyway. Slick has always said Kelsey is nothing more than just a big ass, sloppy, slow.
The greatest slot receiver of all time.
Greatest slot receiver. But yes, move him around.
Great slot receiver.
Yeah, move him around and see what you have there. Another guy that I want to see take a step up because injuries plagued him is Russell Gage. I want us to get our money's worth with Russell Gage. I think he's also another one who can get you in the deep crossing or deep in routes. I want
like a mesh concept.
Yes, I want to see him fully healthy, and I hope this next season comes up that he will be able to have that progression, and he does. He comes in and does what he was supposed to do this season for us. I'm cutting him slack because injuries happened, and when he did play, he left it all out there. So I'll give him that. So I want to see that. If I were to have one more player, let's see. One more guy on offense. It's going to be whatever the quarterback is. I need to see him. I just need to see a consistent, competitive quarterback. That means he doesn't have to give me 40 touchdowns. If he can give me 30 and maybe 12 interceptions, but can get me 11 wins, I'm good with that. That's all I'm looking for. I want to see what the Bucs are going to do this season. How are you guys going to handle things? Because yes, this year's cap, this is literally the tryout season. Let's see what we got, fellas. Let's see what we got. Now, I know it's still, let's say, JT, I'm gonna ask. Let's say this: if the Bucs out of their picks 2 of them are immediate starters, and they're doing the damn thing. They're actually good, and the rest are a work in progress. But we get a quarterback that can play average quarterback. Where do you see the Bucs in the season coming along next season if they do that? All this entire scenario I gave you. How do you feel?
I really think they're right there in the mix. I mean, I like the Panthers roster and I like the coaching staff they're putting together. I think that's a legitimate contender for the South next year. The Saints, I think, are kind of going in the wrong direction. They're getting a little too old. Even if they bring in Carr, they're kind of right on that same level as the Panthers and the Bucs. And then the Falcons are still kind of in the beginning phase of their rebuild. So I think they're just kind of at the bottom of the pool. But I mean, even not knowing who our quarterback is, whether it's Trask, whether it's Heineke, whether it's, whoever, just average quarterback play. And even if Canales is just an average offensive coordinator, I think that's such a huge, drastic step up.
Yes.
And I think the run game is going to be a lot better because I think Rachaad White's really going to blossom in this new system.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what drove me the most crazy about Leftwich. Not just when he would choose to run at times, but the way he would try and choose to run. Like, Shaq Mason is great getting out in space on pulls into the second level. Same with Luke Gedeke. With the problems he had and the struggles he had adjusting, he was really good at those couple of things. Leftwich never called those. He was always power. He wanted to do power runs, which was what we did with Arians. And, that's great when you've got, the guys we had back then. But this was built to be a very different offensive line. Yeah. So I think spreading it out more this year, running out of the shotgun, getting our guys in space, I think that's really going to help a guy with great vision like Rachaad White.
Yes.
And whatever rookie we bring in, because I think Leonard Fournette's going to get cut.
Okay. Yeah, I want to run the spread. Slick is already knows me. My heart is on the spread because with the receiving core that you have, you can't go wrong. I want to see more stretching the field. As you said, we want to take deep shots. Scotty Miller would be your job at this point. If you can get behind, if you can get past your corner and make the safety bite, thank you. You've done your job. We're going to get Evans open. Now, we're going to switch it up. We're going to give you yours too, but your duty is to always gas a corner and a safety out. Gas them and make room for your other guys. That's what the Bucs need to get back to doing. Not this, it's 3rd and 6. Okay, we're going to just run a straight, basically just an all-go route where the entire damn defense can sit back. No, those days are done. We need motion, like you said. We need bootlegs. I like bootlegs. So I want a mobile quarterback. That's why I want Justin Fields. I know people are very timid about that because mobile quarterbacks tend to get in their own way. But with the receiving weapons we have, I don't think that'll be the case if Justin gets here. I think he never had anybody to throw to in Chicago, and he didn't even have a line like the Bucs to protect him. So can you imagine him coming down here with that, with all these weapons? I'm saying right now, Evans will have a 1,500-yard season with 12 touchdowns minimum.
I've got a question for you, boys. I'd probably look away with the Ferries, but I'm looking up stuff while we're talking. Would you say with this Buccaneers offense last year that we held a player like K. Dotton back, that there was more to him? Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where do you think he ranks in rookie tight ends?
Probably like 6th or 5th.
Rookies? I was gonna say probably like 2nd.
Wow.
He's 3rd. If it weren't for touchdowns, he probably he's I can't pronounce some of these names. There's some tough ass names in here, but because the Tennessee guy, he got 450. And to be honest, it's like the thing you got to remember with K. Dotton, he didn't become the starter until like right in the middle of the season. It was only because of people getting hurt that he actually had got his opportunity. So the other guys might have walked in as starters. Yep. Greg Dulrich, he got himself 411 yards for 2 touchdowns, and then our K. Dotton almost shy of 400 yards and 2 touchdowns himself. So we were all calling it, guys, all season. So we want to see more K. Dotton, more K. Dotton. Imagine if they did. This guy could have been the diamond in the. We'd be talking about him in glowing reference because I believe he was like the 3rd or 4th, possibly the 5th tight end taken.
Yes. and that was a good pickup by Light. Again, sometimes Byron just didn't know what to do, and it's like God forbid that you keep a guy you give it to the hot hand. There are games where Otten was cooking, and then you just take the food away from him and say, "No, we're gonna feed somebody else." And as you said, JT, what the hell, Power? How you gonna call Power for a guy like Rashad? Where was the HB tosses? Hell,
Mhm.
you know, something. It's like they only did it a few times, and when they did use it, it was the wrong plays. Yeah, I think the Bucks. If you get
Situational football was really poor as well. Like
oh, absolutely,
they would run on second down and set up a really bad third down, and then it was just
yes, uh, and it's so crazy. I agree, JT. I think just the simple fact with Canals being in here, he's gonna make this offense better. I think the offense will be a lot more competitive. Now, in the first couple of games, I'd say the first 5, 6 games, we're gonna see struggles, but by week 8, 9, I think you're gonna see them clicking, depending on because he's the guy that's gonna get you there. Whatever quarterback we get, I know he's gonna work with him and say this is stick to the plan. And like you said, if the Bucks run game, we were 32nd. If we can get to 20, the Bucks are 10, 10, 11 wins. Can you imagine 20? If we can just get ranked 20th in rushing, we'll be fine.
Yep. And that even goes back to that question you asked me earlier about drafting a running back early.
Yes.
In general, I'm against that philosophy because just the value of that position. But at the same time, I'm also a strong believer that elite strengths win championships. And you tell me you're bringing in Rashad White, Bijan Robinson out of Texas, an offensive line that's going to be better this year with Ryan Jensen, Luke Gedeke, or Nick Leverett with another year developing, Shaq Mason. I mean, that shapes up to be a really good run game.
Yes.
And then even if it's a lower level guy, not Bijan Robinson, like a 5th-round pick, like Chase Brown out of Illinois,
Yes.
that still has a lot of potential to be a pretty good running game.
Yes. And we also have Aaron Stinney coming back. He'll be healthy. This Bucks line is going to be a lot healthier. I think a lot of fans are not looking at that. They're going to be a lot healthier. And with that being said, you get an average LT from the draft. If he could just be average, can you imagine an average LT and he doesn't have as many penalties as Donovan Smith? You got a good line right there. You got a good line where you can make plays happen. Uh, I just think again for Buck fans, we're not far off. I agree, JT. The Saints they're going to go backwards. They're going to go backwards as they should. Let's be real. We're not losing sleep over that. I want the Saints to go backwards. I want them to keep falling. I want them to hit them Aaron Brook years again. I want to see that shit. I want to see it. I want to see them dwell and circle the drain. That's good. The Falcons, yeah, you're right. They're stuck. They're stuck. They're stuck. I don't see them really being irrelevant again for another 4 more years. The Panthers are the biggest ones, but they got to find their quarterback too. Yeah, the NFC South is just looking for a quarterback. We are literally in search of a quarterback. Whoever has the quarterback this season is gonna, well, the Bucks still have a better team, but we don't want it close. I want the Bucks to pull away from this team, from all those teams. So that's just me. The Saints, I want them to at least go 2-15. I hope they do.
See, I don't hate the Saints like that. The Saints are not the team in this division that I hate.
Who is it that you hate?
For me, it's the Panthers. See, I know, we've had the big rivalry with the Saints lately. Cameron Jordan's really annoying. But for me, it goes back to the Steve Smith days. I just hated Steve Smith growing up. I hated the Panthers.
See, I respected Steve Smith because he got shit done. Steve Smith was that guy.
yeah, he's got little man syndrome. You've got to give him his
Hey, he had little man syndrome, but he'll catch you. He produced. You could say what you want because I like the fact that Steve kept that same energy for everybody. Because when he went to Baltimore, he embarrassed the Panthers for letting them go. So I don't mind him, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you can say all those things about Cameron Jordan, though. Over 100 career sacks, and I think he just hates the Bucs because they passed him up in the draft. They took Adrian Claiborne.
Yeah, but I'm kind of glad we didn't get him because when the playoffs came, your boy Cameron disappeared. He evaporates. So it's like, yeah, you're all right, you're good, but
It was better than Adrian Claiborne, though. I mean, if you had to pick out the two, in all fairness.
But didn't Adrian Claiborne one day get 8 sacks in one game?
He had some really good moments. I think he did like 4 sacks when he was playing for the Patriots.
I know when he played with the Falcons, he got a record or something. Can you look that up, Slick? Adrian Claiborne I remember one game, he just played out of his mind. He got like 6 or 7 sacks in one damn game. And I was like, where was this Claiborne at when we drafted him? But yeah, when it comes to the Saints, my most hated guy on there is Marshawn Lattimore. I hate him with a passion.
6 sacks.
6 sacks, yes.
Cowboys.
Yeah, 6 sacks.
Somebody was definitely not doing their job that day, were they?
Somebody would have been fired that day.
That's the Cowboys too. They have a great offensive line over the last decade.
That's what I'm saying. Adrian Claiborne
as well.
6. Can you imagine? Hell, even Shaq Barrett at most has had like 3 to 4 sacks in one game with us. 6 sacks in one.
He's tied second most in the NFL.
Exactly. That's crazy.
See, that's who we drafted Adrian Claiborne to be.
Yeah, exactly. Adrian Claiborne, yeah. Would you say that's a bust? Adrian was a bust.
40 sacks in his career, so he got most of his sacks in one game.
Good God, man.
He got almost 20% of his sacks. He got like 18% of his sacks in one game.
Yes, when we mess up with a pick, we sure do know how to mess it up. And then we let good ones go. Can you imagine if we'd have kept Michael Bennett?
Didn't he win a Super Bowl with that Seahawks team?
Yes, he did. He played a big role. It wasn't that he was small. He was also good years after that.
Yep. Same with Cliff Averill, who I know Detroit up here let walk. They joined that same Seahawks team.
Yeah,
they just pick good players up.
Exactly. Revis, that's another one.
The interesting thing I like about our new OC is how inventive Seattle was with their run game once they lost Marshawn Lynch. They don't really have any big name guys. They did like a kind of running back by committee thing, and they did all right.
Yes, they did.
They did all right. I mean, obviously, it does help that you got Russell Wilson who can peel off yards anytime he wants. But look, hopefully we can get a guy. Here's my question for you, JT. Now that we got him, there's speculation that, and I think I saw a report. I don't know how true it is, that even Geno Smith was like, if you don't have him, I'm not as interested in signing. So does Geno Smith now become a viable candidate for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Drew Lock's obviously the easier pick because he's going to be way cheaper and more likely the most available out of the two.
I mean, I think off what he did last year in the chemistry, if he's that into working with Canales, if that relationship is that important to him, I think he should be at the top of the list. I mean, talent-wise, he's as good as any free agent out there other than Carr.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you say, do you want Jimmy G or Geno Smith? It doesn't really matter to me. They're about the same talent.
Give me Geno. I'll take Geno over Jimmy. I'll take Geno over Jimmy.
I'd take Geno over Jimmy just for the sheer fact that the guy's got wheels when he needs to, and what a season to have! Like honestly, it was impressive considering where he's come from. Whereas someone who's been to the Super Bowl, who's had greatness, and then has just kind of fizzled out and has kind of just been pushed along for rides. It's a bit of a difference because you look at that Seattle team from a talent point of view, they weren't mind-shockingly amazing at anything. Like, yeah, okay, they got DK Metcalf, but you put Geno Smith at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I think from top to bottom has way more talent around them. He could have a lot more fun.
He can have a lot more fun. And Evans is the kind of guy at this point. We love Metcalf, but Metcalf isn't a complete receiver yet. If Geno throws it up to Evans, he's gonna get it. He's gonna go for it, and Godwin could be his little blanket as well. Otten could be his blanket.
Otten's gonna be there. You got Gage. Look, this from a skill point of view, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on offense are absolutely fine. They don't need to worry about any skill positions. They probably might want to get somebody in the later rounds in the draft for a running back. They might want to bring in a free agent veteran for the tight end position, just to have a veteran presence that can do a bit of everything. That isn't particularly good at one thing. That's what I was hoping Rudolph was going to do, but Hey, I'm just hoping, if anything, Rudolph's personality rubbed off, because he was supposedly a really, really energetic. He was a captain at Minnesota for a very long time, so maybe leadership and shit rubbed off, because it weren't fucking playability, was it?
No, not at all. But again, that also just could be the Byron effect. Sometimes there are a lot of players that just were left. Again, we saw Otten. We saw everything. I'm like, okay, why the hell isn't Otten lined up next to a receiver sometimes? Why the hell? What are we doing? I think Canal is going to come in. One thing I do think that the quarterback better get used to doing is being mobile, using more bootleg, using more rollouts. So whatever quarterback we do get, they're gonna have to do that. And
Sprint out package.
yeah, I think so. I honestly think Canal's gonna come in. He's gonna change the run game, but he's also gonna say, quarterbacks, you're gonna need to be mobile. We're gonna run plays where we're gonna confuse defenses. We're not just gonna, because with Brady, you were limited. It had to be perfect. It was either get the ball, run the route perfect. Hopefully, you get separation. Brady's going to get you there. We can't play like that anymore. We can't afford to have another statue quarterback, because another statue quarterback won't be Brady. We need a mobile quarterback that can take hits or be willing to take a hit, but also can extend plays. That was the biggest weakness of the Bucs offense this season. You could clearly tell Brady was not good at extending plays with his feet. Once it's gone, it was dead. We need a quarterback where if it
you remember the 2021 season where he kept on running now and again, and you're like, damn, this guy, he can't run, but it was sure fun to watch.
It was fun, but yes, it was fun, but also breathtaking, because I'm like, please slide, because if you get rocked, that's our season.
That's my favorite. I can't remember who we were playing, but the one where he slides down and flicks the ball up.
It was the Giants. It was the Giants. I
remember that was a beautiful play.
I laughed so hard seeing him slide up and do that, because despite him running, it still looks so damn slow. I was like,
it's like watching a giraffe run, yeah.
Yes, and even his stride was awful. He's like, it's like, it was like, oh my god. But yes, we need a quarterback. And I think Canal is going to get that. I'm good with this. I told people I like sometimes getting the unknown, because if he's unknown to you, it's going to be a little unknown to defensive coordinators out there. They might not go. They might say, okay, they might look over this guy. He's not going to do much. He's going to play package football safe stuff. And Canal might come out and say, nah, we're going to roll out and take this deep shot. Oh, shit. And then he goes, oh, since they want to do that, now we're really going to mess with them, since they're going to back up. Now we're just going to rip them apart methodically. I think the Bucs are in good hands with Canals.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask the crew, I suppose, so to speak, is there's a lot of talk about this Buccaneers offensive coordinator position being an unattractive job. And I've been arguing with people back and forth. I've had the I don't know football argument back with people, but that's fine. I can live with the fact that if people don't think I know football, it doesn't matter. I don't think that, like, the amount of people going, oh, it's because of Byron left, not Byron, sorry, it's because of Coach Bowles. I'm like, but if I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm getting an offensive coordinator position, and I'm good. Chances are, if he's shit and they don't want to move, I'm more than likely going to get the job, because promoting an OC to a head coach is going to cost you a lot less than trying to pay for somebody in-house, isn't it? It's the team discount. And if you've got rapport with a quarterback, let's face it, let's say for the sake of argument, the Buccaneers go and get Geno Smith, and he's on a team-friendly deal, 3 years or 4 years or what have you. It's not ridiculous money. We make it work, and Dave Canales and Geno Smith have a great season, and we get the same records we did last year, but the offense is the strength and the defense is the weakest point. They might want to move on from Bowles, and that would allow Dave to have his opportunity to go to head coach. They wouldn't necessarily hire someone else. They could definitely have a look. But if you're a good offensive coordinator, you're going to get rehired straight away. And you might have the pick of the teams rather than, I got to go with a team that hasn't got a quarterback, because that's basically what's happened. And I said, it's not, if I'm an offensive coordinator, it's not Bowles that's putting me off. Bowles, for me, seems like the perfect guy to be married to, because he ain't going to interfere with your offense. I mean, he may go call something crap, or he might say call something a little bit too pedestrian, but he's not going to try and get involved in your game plans. He's not going to take the proverbial red pen.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to say is, you kind of have a guy who's going to let you do what you want, unless you don't succeed.
Slick, you're on it. I think you're on it. I think people are just talking just to talk. But if you are an OC and you come in here with this team that has talent, it's not like they have to worry about drafting so much. As we said already, on offense, the Bucs are set.
Mm-hmm.
Pressure is really going to be on Bowles. And as you said, if I'm Bowles, your main objective is to make sure your defense stays elite. So, if anything, him trusting in the OC just doing their job takes the pressure off Bowles. Because let's say this: let's say if the Bucs just on offense are just a little above average, but the defense stays elite, that's again 12, 13 games. And let's say a crazy thing happens, the Bucs find themselves in the NFC championship and they lose and they're one game away from a Super Bowl. Then Bowles has solidified his job right then and there, because now they go, okay, the defense is set. You did something, and the offense is just one season away from being, we might go back to being Super Bowl contenders again. So
I mean, technically, if you go to an NFC Championship game, you're a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion.
yes,
You're one of 4 teams that can make the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I would be too damning. Like, if we had let's say for the sake of argument, you said average offense, great defense, and we end up winning 12 games plus, and we win a playoff game, then I can turn around and go, okay, Bowles has done enough. I think if we scrape in again and we get humiliated again, that's when you've really got to ask a question. It's like, okay, he obviously can't handle pressured situations.
Now you get humiliated, you're gone. I think if you get that and he gets humiliated, he's gone. What about you, JT? We not leaving you out, my man. Give us your analysis on that. What do you feel?
See, I'll be honest, I do find the Bucs to be an unattractive job.
Okay.
And I think part of it is the instability of coach, because you guys touched on it. Even if he improves the offense, say it goes from like 27 to 17, 16, that's a big jump. But it kind of hinges on the defense being great. If the defense is just good, 10th, 9th, and they win 8, 9 games, the Bucs are cleaning house. And, there's a human element there. You move your family from Seattle to Tampa, and then you're looking for a new job a year later. That makes you a little nervous, knowing Bowles is already on the hot seat and not knowing who your quarterback is. So that puts a lot of pressure on you, one, to develop.
Bowles is on the hot seat from fans. I'm not too entirely sure he's on the hot seat from ownership yet.
I think it just depends on this year. I think you guys touch on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I mean, there's very little wiggle room there. So you have to develop a quarterback, who's probably going to be a career journeyman like Geno was, which, he did a great job with. But,
yes,
that's not a fair expectation. Develop scrub guys wherever you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. I would say this, JT. The only reason I would not say that is if they were, remember, Evans, Godwin, these guys just 2 years ago were considered the best tandem in football. Just two years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You come in, you have the pieces are there. Again, ownership is not going to look at you, even if they clean house. If they see, like you just said, 27 to 17, that's a big step. If the defense falls off, the Glazers might say, hey, we know it's not you. We know it's him now. We can give you, and I get it. But it was, I would say this. If Canals came in and the Bucs were 27 and they just were 24th, then that's on him. That's, hey, you got these weapons. There's no excuses. What I guarantee you with this hire, they asked him, what are you going to do with you have Evans, Godwin, Gage, Auden at your disposal. What are you going to do to help this offense? You have certain pieces. What makes them better than Metcalf in this organization that you were just with? Because remember, he didn't have to leave necessarily. He could have. There's something about this offense that he believes in. He probably said, yes, Metcalf is a stud, but he's not ready yet. Evans is ready. Godwin is ready. This offense is ready. With this line, they're ready. Remember, the line in Seattle is garbage compared to the Bucs. That's all. I get what you're saying, but I'm also looking at the upside of the players. If there were nobody, okay, if he was coming on a 2010 Bucks roster with the Mike Williams of the world and the Aurelius Benz, then I would have said, "Oh hell no, nah. I'm not taking that job. No way, no way, nah. I'll stay in Seattle. I'm not gonna go from one rainy state to another where it's more humidity. I can't do it." I agree, but I think that Slick, I do. I think that this is a tempting job with this team.
It's
God
the
forbid.
quarterback position for me. That's the only thing that
Yep.
makes it
Yep.
a conundrum. I can live with, like, think about it. If you go to an offensive-minded head coach, you're not going to get to run shit. You're an offensive coordinator by name and name alone, and you'll run the practices. That's and you'll do film study.
Look at
Yep.
Eric Bieniemy.
You'll have a part in game planning. You won't be calling the plays. Matt
Yeah.
Nagy didn't call plays when he was with Kansas City.
Agreed.
All these other guys who've gone on to. Do you think Daniels called McDaniels called plays while he was in
New
San
England.
Francisco? No.
Oh yeah.
Zach Taylor, do you think he's called plays? No. So if you go somewhere that's got a defensive mind head coach, you get to go, this is my shop. This is my deal. This is my thing. You could go to somewhere else that might be. There aren't that many. Taking my guys, there aren't that many defensive-minded head coaches in the NFL anymore.
No, most of them are offensive of guys now because offensive guys take risks. Defensive guys are too cautious. Look for Bowles. This Bucks defense better not drop out of the top 10. You better keep them in top 10 at least. They have to be in top 10. And the only reason that they fall out and they due to injury, they still better be like 12 or 13. There's no excuses. So the pressure is on Bowles, and Bowles, like you, if I'm Bowles, you're gonna have faith in this guy. Hey, because if the offense is shit, but the Bucks defense is top 10 or top 5, then Bowles will be fine. Then people can go, okay, Bowles, you did enough. I just think, as you said, JT, from a human point, we haven't. A lot of Bucks fans have not forgiven Bowles ever since that Rams playoffs. So it's still personal hatred there. It's like if it wasn't for you, the Bucks would be back-to-back Super Bowl champs. Because we definitely would have beat San Fran that year, and we damn sure would have beat the Bengals. So people, human-wise, I'm a victim too. You gotta find a way to forgive. Forgive. We don't forget, but you gotta forgive and be like, all right, Bowles, you got somebody now that you probably had a choice to pick on. You can't say it's too late. What you gonna do, Coach Bowles? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, and he needs a great year. Both coaches really need to have a great year. Canales developing a quarterback, but Bowles keeping this defense great is going to be a tall order. We talked about the need for a defensive tackle, the development of Logan Hall, bringing back maybe Levante David, losing most of your secondary. I mean, we talked about the holes on this team, quarterback being the biggest one. Most of them are on defense. So,
yeah. Oh, for sure. Like there's realistically the only holes that is going to be on offense is the ones that we create.
Yeah,
like touching people. It's not going to be. It's not going to be done. Like right now, the Buccaneers offense is pretty much exactly the same as it was last year, bar Tom Brady.
Yep.
Which is okay. I mean, I think whoever they bring in could be better than Tom Brady. As cerebral as Tom Brady was, and as great as he was in those 2-minute drills to kind of bring the Bucs back,
and
those offenses were not good. I mean, he was afraid. He looked afraid.
Yeah, his time was done, and unfortunately, Leftwich sped up the process. So Leftwich helped him with Father Time. He aided Father Time. Shit, you know how Father Time says beat you? Well, Leftwich aided Father Time.
Leftwich had a big bet on Father Time in that fight.
Exactly, inside guy. So yes, I think overall though, Bucks are going to be in the right direction. They're moving in the right direction. Now, what we need to see them do is make moves. I want to see them next month because the free agency starts March 20th?
I think 15th, somewhere around there, yeah.
So now I want to see what they do with that. I don't expect much, as you said, because our salary cap this season,
Hey guys, remember the Saints wrote off a load of their salary cap, so let's be optimistic and see what we can do. And we've done it before. I just hope we don't do these voidable year contracts.
Agreed.
Because all you're doing is kicking the can further and further down the road. Eventually, you're going to pay the piper. I don't mind restructures and things like that. I'm absolutely fine with that. Rotating salary cap around, and I'm all for it. So let's not be surprised the Buccaneers still do make a little bit of noise. I mean, like I said, if you wanted to bring back both those safeties who did not play well, in fact, didn't play well. Sorry, my mistake. Logan Ryan, I felt, got better over time. It was the other guy, Keanu Neal, who kind of was just non-existent. I don't remember his name called very often. So you could definitely bring him back for sure, and you're going to pay less than $2 million a year to bring him back. If you were able to bring back either Sean SMB or Jamal Dean and Levante David, and you were to sort a few little bits and pieces out, you get Will Golston out. So you can go and target people a bit earlier in the draft. Maybe you trade up a couple of picks of your lower end picks and go for someone in the second round again. Yep. So you go, well, we'll get rid of the fourth round. We'll get rid of the fifth round and the sixth round and the seventh round. We'll try and trade up and we'll get one of those guys. Because teams that want depth, who have all their starters and have everything ready to go, will probably want to go down that alley so they can have multiple people at depth. I'm not saying they will, but they might do. And that way you end up with another maybe a high-end third round. You bring in another pass rusher. And it all kind of comes together. But we don't know what's going to happen because that's the beauty of the NFL. It could be a shit show.
Yeah. God help me.
Based on the last two drafts, I mean, expect it to be a little bit of a shit show.
Right. Well, either way, that's still my shit show team, and I'm gonna show up for the shit.
Showing out.
Yeah. So on that note, I will let you guys roll out. But JT,
yeah, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, and tell because I'm about to head off, but tell the folks where they can find you because we definitely like your input on things.
Yeah, y'all can find me on Twitter at Icewater Olson. You can find my written work at Bucs Report, and you can find our podcast, The Creamsicle Chronicles, on Twitter, The Creamsicle Crew, and you can find us wherever podcasts are at. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, you can find us there.
My man, that's good. Yeah, that is. I appreciate that. And guys, again, you can always please watch Bucs Report. We're always on Mondays, and we also sometimes get on Wednesdays and Fridays. But again, Bucs fans, we appreciate your time. Remember, JT said it best. It can be a shit show, but I'm gonna say it again. We still gonna show up for the shit. So, yes, over and out, guys. Always a pleasure. Thank you for your time, Slick and JT Olson. No matter what, at the end of the day, it's go Bucs.
Go Bucs. See you, JT. Look after yourself, brother.
All right, y'all take it easy. Appreciate you.
See you, man. That was. Okay, guys, that's the end of the show. I've been Coach Slick. That was AJ Turner across with his stuff. It's about booking time, and of course, you had the amazing JT Olson, always bringing the great writer, and he's one half of the Creamsicle Chronicles. I've been Coach Slick. I'll give you an update what's going on with me and my coaching stuff. We got our first preseason game coming up, so that's exciting. Defense took a little step backwards this week for the Sandwell Steelers, which is my team that I coach. We got our nose blooded a little bit in Skelly, so we got a few things to fix. But we gave up 2 touchdowns and we got 2 INTs, so we got a little bit to fix, but we'll get there. Finally, our offense is turning it on, so it's making it a nice competition. But yeah, Bucs on me, Bucs on free. 1, 2, 3. Go Bucs!